Welcome to the American Freethinker live call-in podcast. Sundays, 6 p.m. Phone number 810-348-5807. Today's topic, the American Freethinker Multiculturalism live call-in podcast. Sundays, 6 p.m.
Welcome.
Phone number 810.
Yes, this is American Freethinker.
5807.
Sundays, 6 p.m.
Today's
live
topic,
call-in
American
podcast.
Freethinker
Remember,
Multiculturalism
if you happen to be
call-in
listening to
podcast.
this pre-recorded,
Sundays, 6 p.m.
welcome to Facebook later
Phone
on.
number
Please remember that, yes, this is American Freethinker live, but more importantly, 6 p.m. live call-in podcast. Remember, if you happen to be listening, started at 6, pre-recorded, had the phone number, welcome to Facebook later on. Please remember that, yes, this is American Freethinker. I need to make sure that everybody can hear me. More importantly, if anybody live call-in podcast, remember, if you happen to be listening, started at 6, pre-recorded, had the phone number, welcome to video, Facebook later on. See me and you can hear me. Thumbs up, American Freethinker. I need to make sure that everybody can hear me. More importantly, if anybody live call-in podcast, remember, if you happen to be listening, started at 6, or you can hear me. Had the phone number, welcome video, Facebook later on. See me and you can hear me. Thumbs up, American Freethinker. I need to make sure that. How about now? For some reason I get a lot of reverb. Anybody? I gotta make sure it works before I get going here. I actually decided to try to get a little bit more organized, bit by bit. Maybe even little talking points, kind of put on a little spreadsheet. Not talking points, but little checkpoints that I can kind of look at and make sure that I'm kind of keeping it. But again, I've mentioned this before, that's not my strong point. Mug. That is a very good mug, by the way. Louder with Crowder. If you haven't seen him, watched his podcast, he's a comedian, but it's all pretty much politics. Again, anybody can put just a heads up, something, so that I know that I'm coming through okay. Fantastic. I bet I was getting reverb. For some reason on Facebook it doesn't automatically do the proper settings. Alright, we're good. Okay, I'm actually going to go ahead and do something a little bit different today. And maybe start trying this a little bit. The phone call idea, eventually. I understand that, I mentioned this before, that there's a very small group of people that actually enjoy listening to other people talk. I understand that. I personally don't like just listening to someone talk. That's why I don't listen to talk radio anymore. I pretty much just listen to debates on politics. That's how I feel I learn better, when two people are actually debating a point. My goal is to have dialogue, conversation. I would love it if I could have actual conversation, heated debates, anywhere in between, with people who actually vote Democrat. Remember this, the overarching, the more important thing about what I'm doing here is trying to get people to understand how important it is to talk to your friends and family or yourself that actually votes Democrat, realizing that they're not the JFK Democrat Party anymore. Okay? They're not even the Nancy Pelosi kind of crazy party anymore. They're the wild extremist party that always kind of pops up throughout the years from the time it began with Van Buren. It was always radical. They always took on the radical groups, and they kind of festered into the party. And then eventually the Republicans, which basically all they do is defend, not too many Republican presidents or Congress actually move the ball forward, but mainly just stop. So I'm ranting. What I'm going to start doing differently is I'm actually going to start reading the comments. I'm going to try. Trust me, it's not easy. Just remember, I'm not Ben Shapiro. I'm not a professional broadcaster. I do not have a studio with people that are actually operating everything. It's just me in my house with a video camera, potentially making a fool of myself. But anybody who knows me knows that that's okay with me. But I got sick of just debating on Facebook and just putting out comments and then having people with keyboard muscles just throw comments out there knowing that they don't have to answer for their comments. When you actually talk to someone face to face or on the phone, or at least when you're talking to them, you can actually have a conversation where when they say something, you can instantly get a reaction and see what they're thinking. Dry mouth today. This is going to be fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start reading comments. Now, last podcast was it was almost I would almost say a debacle. I definitely didn't get to everything I wanted to talk about with immigration and illegal immigration. Yes, they are two different things. Because of the start of it, I was just rattled. Nothing worked for me. I didn't start till like 2 hours later. It was just crazy. Instead of it streaming on my American Freethinker page on Facebook, which I still don't even know how to operate. It doesn't seem to work. It actually went on my normal Facebook page, and I didn't know. So I didn't even know what was going on. So I didn't say nearly as much as I wanted to say. But there was some comments on there, and I realized afterwards that there was, and I wasn't really good at stopping my thoughts, reading the comments, and replying to it, and then remembering to get back to my comments. Because remember, I don't want to just sit here and talk. I have a topic because, yeah, I like to get things off my chest. I like to talk politics, social issues, even religion. Oh, heck, I'll be your Dr. Phil. You call in, I'll use my critical thinking skills, we'll solve all your world's problems. But anyways, I digress. It's not easy to then get back to my comments, what I was thinking about. But I'd rather talk to people. And until months from now or whenever, where people maybe actually start coming on to call in and get things off their chest, I guess I'm going to go ahead and start reading the comments. And then I will actually start replying to the comments live. And if people comment on the Facebook page throughout the week, I'm going to do what I'm going to do today, which is read the comments on the next podcast and reply to it. Chances are I won't reply on Facebook because I really don't like doing this. Now, before I get to I'm going to get rid of this. Hopefully it won't be too raspy. Doesn't seem to want to stay. But, because I did have a comment, a couple comments from last week, and I want to answer it. I actually want to have dialogue, and if it can't be on the phone, fine. It'll be through the comments. And I will try to remember to toggle back and forth between YouTube and Facebook. I do multicast, and I'm not good at it yet, but we'll try it. So the beginning of each podcast, the first thing I will do is revert back to the previous podcast and read any comments, if there were any. Now, I'm going to rat on myself a little bit here. If anyone who has actually read or listened to some of my podcasts, especially the beginning ones like on America or Democrat Party and all that, one of the first things I said, the reason why I'm doing this is because I just got sick of Facebook debating through keyboards, just back and forth. It got nasty, and it's not what I want. But I found myself going back into my echo chamber, which Facebook has a really good thing, a really good way of, and YouTube, I don't know anything about Twitter. I'm not too good at Twitter yet, but of forcing you to get into an echo chamber where all you're getting is whether you're a conservative thinker or maybe a lefty thinker, Democrat, Republican, they tend to give you what you want so that you get on, and then they make money off the advertising. So I did. I got off it for a while. Proud of myself that I did it because, yeah, I was just, you get angry, and I don't want to get angry about politics. It's silly. So I decided to go back, and I went back to about the only Facebook page I know that actually has, I guess you would say, maybe some left, some liberal, some Democrats. This guy's definitely a Democrat, lefty. He gets on there, posts his views on stuff. They're usually left, extremely anti-Trump, of course. And then now I'm back on it. And the reason why I'm back on it is I needed to get out of that echo chamber of just hearing what everybody who agrees with me. I'm not going to learn that way. How do you learn when all you're hearing is what you already know or already agree with? But the best I can hope for is maybe to get some different ways of putting it, better ways of putting it. Let me go ahead and check here to make sure all is good before I get into my comments. Looks like we're still going good. YouTube. All right. Now, the comments I got from, and I don't want to put on my reading glasses, so if you see me squinting, the comments I got was from my Uncle Dave, one of the smartest men I know. I've always considered him an intellectual, but I struggle because I don't necessarily have really super positive thoughts on mostly intellectuals like the professors that I meet and the professors that I've debated or listened to debates. So that's a difficult one. But he always puts things and puts things in questions to get proper answers, to get good answers in a highly extremely intellectual way. And then I kind of bring it down to my normal meat and potato, normal, regular kind of guy that just thinks a certain way. And then I have to kind of digest it my own way, and then I respond. And it's a great debate, back and forth, especially when we're face to face. I learn a lot from him. And he went ahead and made a comment on the last one on a debate that he was having between him and, not really debate, and a cousin of mine, Andrew. He seems to be willing to, he's one of the few, I would definitely say he's a Democrat voter, but he's one of the few that actually will debate, will actually try to reason with you, use some logic, and come up with a solution instead of what you normally get on Facebook, which is kind of name calling. And I always enjoy watching them two go back and forth because he seems to be able to keep up with him in that intellectual level, where I'm always answering, like, when they respond to each other, it'll be a 20 paragraph response, and then I come in there with my 2 paragraphs. Of course, my 2 paragraphs probably makes more sense and it's probably more correct, but that's a whole nother story. So he actually put up this as what he believes is the answer to the immigration. Well, actually, it's the illegal immigration part of it. I don't think it's as much as the legal immigrants. I think it's more towards illegal immigration. And I hope this is something that people might actually be interested in. I'm going to go ahead and read the comments that he puts, and then I'm going to respond to it. Now, I would much rather have him on the phone where he can talk and then I can talk, and you'll see the different levels of intellectual talk compared to my meat and potato, regular, ordinary worker guy talk. It's a rather interesting conversation back and forth. But this is what I'm going to do from now on, because this is actually what I want. I want other people's views, and then I want to use what I believe to be my strength, which is critical thinking skills and logic, and then work through it. So here we go. Let me make sure everything's right. Remember, the phone number is 810-348-5807, and you do not have to call about the topic at hand. It's very important. If you just now listen, I don't have thousands of listeners, obviously. I probably have 100 views or so on most of my videos. That's understood. But if you want to call in and you just want to, man, you just got to say something about what's going on today, like something that happened today, and you want to kind of talk about it and just get it off your chest. Any topic, doesn't matter what it is. Now, I will respond and I will ask questions, and then, of course, we have dialogue. That's what I want. It doesn't have to be on the topic at hand. Last podcast was immigration and illegal immigration. Today's topic will be diversity and multiculturalism, which obviously they just intermingle. Okay? So I think we're ready to go. I don't see any questions on here. All right. So, YouTube, still doing good. All right, here we go. So how he put this was him and Andrew, they went back and forth on comments, and they both were actually able to agree, and I can see how this would be a much more bipartisan solution. I understand that. I disagreed with them on some of the points, and I will of course point that out. Once I'm done with this, then I'll get on with today's topics, and if no phone calls, we'll be done. Remember, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share it right now. If you have any people who vote Democrat who actually like to talk about politics, definitely share it to them. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, and then of course the notification bell. And I did forget to mention, a little side note, I may have to work Sundays, and so it may be, instead of every Sunday, it may be every other Sunday. My schedule, I don't even know it till the Friday before whether I'll be back on Sunday or not. So chances are it'll be every other Sunday, but I should be back next Sunday. I'll make sure I post it on Facebook for the thousands of people who are interested in listening to me. Remember, I'm doing this because this is what I feel that a part that I can do to try to get the people who vote Democrat, the normal, the average, everyday person who votes Democrat, that usually does it because their dad told them to, their union rep tells them to, the professor told them to, and for the 5, 10, 15 years they never even thought about it. They just vote Democrat. I talk about the topics, not the daily issues. Topics from abortion to federal taxes, the budget, whatever it is. Everything in between. I started off with the hot topics, the more like the feminism issue, abortion issue, the issue between the race issues, because those are the most important that we have to figure out. So here I go. This is what he posted. It was in the comment section. Number 1, grant citizenship to all of the immigrants currently under the DACA program. Now, remember, I do this off the cuff. I don't really do a lot of research. I know kind of most of this stuff. So DACA, which is basically children of of legal immigrants that came in here, the children of those immigrants, the way you'll have the left will tug at the heartstrings, and they will say, oh, but it's all about the kids. What are you going to do with these kids? These kids didn't do anything wrong. It's the parents that did it. And while they're doing that, they're subverting the country. Okay, that's what lefties do. Pull at the heartstrings, go behind your back, Next thing you know, your country isn't your country anymore. Grant citizenship to all the immigrants currently under the DACA program. 100% disagree. If you're talking full 100% citizenship, I would say no. I think I mentioned that last week. The reason why I say no is I don't think, because they're not citizens. Okay? They came here illegal. Whether they were brought in as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 year old, whatever it is. If you do that, and I believe this is what the problem in the 80s was, is just like this. Oh, come on. They're here. Why would we go through the hassle of getting rid of them? Why don't we just let them stay here? What about the children? And now look what happened. And I'll describe the worst of it when I start talking about the multiculturalism issue. I'll answer pretty much all these once I read all the questions. Number 2, grant temporary amnesty to all illegal immigrants who have been in America for at least 10 years and who voluntarily turn themselves in for citizenship, considering increase the number of personnel needed to process the illegals, separate from the normal immigration process. Their function will be to review documentation that shows that the immigrants meet minimum citizens criteria agreed upon by Congress. If they consistently demonstrate such citizenship qualities over the time they were in America, grant them citizenship. So that would be, I guess, their parents. I guess this would be the parents that brought the kids in and give them a status for at least 10 years as long as they voluntarily turn themselves in. Okay, I've heard that point many times. Grant temporary amnesty to all illegal immigrants who have been in America for at least 3 years, turn themselves in for consideration for citizenship. If they keep in good standing, report their whereabouts annually. When they have been here for 10 years, they may formally request to be processed the same way. 10-year immigrants were processed. Okay. Now, there he wants to make it merit-based processed. Okay, reform immigration policies as follows. Make it a merit-based process. See, what he's trying to do, and I understand, my Uncle Dave is philosophy. Okay, I believe that's what he has, philosophy. And he's big in the old-timers, the Aristotles, the great thinkers of the times, and I believe he's really big into the golden medium, golden middle, something like that. But so his goal is to, and I don't mock this, and I don't think it's a horrible thing. His whole goal, I think, is to meet somewhere in the middle to get something done. But when you do that, and you're dealing with the other side that wants everything, first of all, that's very difficult. Okay, that's very difficult to do, especially nowadays. Okay, they're so different. Okay, the far left and the conservative, they're so different right now. Right now, especially. Maybe back in the old days with the JFK Democrats, maybe, but not right now. He wants to provide rigorous vetting of the applicant's background. Okay? And this is why I would like to have him on the phone so that I can ask him. I said, okay, so what if you can't get their background? Because a lot of these places, they really don't have a background check on these people. They have no idea who they are. They're not exactly going to bring ID with them. If they do something illegal, they're going to come up with different names. So everyone who doesn't meet that criteria, you just push away? Okay, maybe. And catch and release. Any immigrant waiting for hearing must report periodically where he or she in status of his or her employment. Failure to do so will result in immediate deportation. So this is, again, that golden medium. He's bringing parts of the argument on the one side, their biggest deals. The catch and release. That's huge for the anti-illegal immigration group, conservative side. Pass an amendment to the Constitution that granting of automatic citizenship for babies born while the mother is legally in the U.S. Okay. Fund the wall for the funds requested with no additional restrictions imposed. See how he's going back and forth? Give and take. Give some of the biggest issues on the one side and give some of the biggest issues on the other side. Well, I don't know anybody on the stop illegal immigration, build the wall side that would agree to allowing what we refer to as anchor babies, because that is the majority of the problem. That you allow people to just come into the country, they have a baby, boom, now their child's a U.S. citizen. No. And notice how he had to put in there, pass an amendment to the Constitution. Because I'm assuming he realizes that that is not in the Constitution right now. I believe it's the 14th Amendment. That does not say that illegals coming in here give birth, those babies are United States citizens. That's what the left wants you to believe. It's not in the Constitution. That is completely wrong reading of that amendment. So he did put that in there, so that's good. Provide whatever funding is needed. Enable ISIS to deport all. Okay. ICE. Okay, he said ISIS, but ICE to deport all immigrants not covered by the above actions. Fund the wall. Okay. So I put his points out there. Before I respond to each one, let me make sure that we're still going good. No questions, no comments. All right. Facebook looks like we're still doing good. YouTube. Okay. I read that kind of quick. I understand. Also, like I said, let me take a drink out of my Louder with Crowder mug. It's a really good mug, by the way. Yes, it's water. I may sound drunk, but it's water. Okay. Let's go all the way back to the top. Answer this really quick. And again, this is a new thing. I'm going to try it. Again, I'd much rather have someone, call in and talk back and forth. But until then, this is what we have. Grant citizenship to all of the immigrants under DACA program. I would be willing, and I think I mentioned this last week, to say, no, you're not going to get citizenship. What we will do is give you a, like he was saying, like a 10-year thing. You come in, you turn yourself, this is who I am, this is why I'm here. I'm sure you're not going to bring your mother who's illegal. But a green card, I believe it's called, fine, but you don't get to vote. None of these people get to vote. As long as that was part of any agreement, I'm on board, maybe. And then maybe after 10 years, I'm not even going to put a year into it. You go to the back of the line, okay? Right now we have lines. I think it's 1 million people a year we're bringing in or something like that, legally. But wherever that line is, whatever that is, and I don't care if it's 1 billion people long, you go to the end of that line. If you don't want to do this, bye. See ya, wherever country you're from. Don't feel any pain. I have no problems with that, even if you haven't committed a single crime. If you're willing to come in, you're already in here. If you're willing to say, yep, I've been here, I was born here, whatever. I do not have legal parents. I'm under this DACA program. Okay. Green card, as long as you never break a law, and I am serious. Never break a law, not as much as jaywalking. You aren't part of some those people that wear black masks, Antifa groups. I mean, if you're not some kind of just rebellious person, you're willing, you can speak English, you're willing to join our culture, the laws, rule of law, all that, okay. You get to get put on the back of the line, you get to stay here. That's it. If you're willing to do that, okay. Everybody who does that, I don't give them 6 months, however long it takes. 6 months, 9 months, whatever, bye. Anybody who is not here, now we're going to do those raids that I keep hearing about. Again, I don't talk about stuff going on right now, but all these raids that they're talking about, Trump going through and doing all these raids right now, well, guess what? We're going to amp up that raid tenfold after this whole idea. So, fine. You want to give DACA citizenship? No. I'm willing to go maybe green cards, and you on the back of the line, and you don't get to vote. And if you don't like the idea of taxation without representation, too bad. Too bad. All right? We're giving you a handout. Take it or not. Oh, by the way, zero welfare. Until you reach that front of the line, you become a citizen, and then whatever welfare programs we might have at that point, hopefully most of them will be gone by then. But no welfare ever until that point. Good. So that's my points on that. Again, I wish he was on the phone. We could talk. back and forth on that, or Andrew Atkins. That would be great too, because I would love to hear their response on that. This amnesty to all illegal immigrants who've been here for 10 years. Come on. If you came in illegally, you're gone. You're gone. I'm willing to put you on the list. All right. Sign you up, get you ready, and get you going. But bye. No. See ya. No. Best case scenario would be what I just did with the DACA. Best case scenario. Because you've broken laws. Chances are you've broken many laws. Social Security laws, definitely work laws. Just the fact that you came in, remember, that's breaking a law. But, okay, but you're going on the back of that list. And you don't get to vote. If you're good with that, then maybe. But definitely not citizenship. And the 3-year thing, all he does is adds a 3 years. So if you've been here 3 years, now you got to wait 10 years, and then you get to do the citizenship. No. We did that in the 80s, I believe it was. And that was the worst thing. That was one of the things that Reagan screwed up on. And I don't think it was his idea. I think it was something he had to do in order for the Democrats to give him what he wanted. And that's this whole golden mean. There it is. I knew I'd come up with it. I read Allegory of the Cave. Okay, I do some of this stuff. Aristotle, and I've actually read some of this stuff. I just don't necessarily remember it. But anyways, I like people who, in this modern day, have good ideas, actually. But I digress again. So, Congress and the White House, they demonstrate citizenship qualities over. No, okay. So that's the 10-year and the 3-year thing. I think I pretty much answered it. He wants to make the merit-based for. Now we're jumping back to the regular immigration system, because I completely disagree with giving anybody citizenship that came in here illegally. The best case scenario that I think I would do would be, and this would be my golden mean for them, would be put them on the back of the list, maybe a green card situation, and as long as you're perfect, and when you become up that list, then maybe you can become a citizen and vote. Until then, you do not vote. So no citizenship. And even that, just don't know. Something about that just bothers me. And I'll deal with that with the multiculturalism idea. Okay. The whole merit-based, of course, 100%. That's our regular immigration system. Merit-based, 100%. You have no right to go into another country. Zero. These people think that people have rights to go into other people's country, and then they are expected to just say, yeah, sure, come on in. Oh, by the way, you can live whatever way you want, even though it disagrees with our laws. Nobody does that. Anyways, I'm rehashing what I talked about last week. So let's see. Provide rigorous vetting, of course, and catch and release. And there's also something out there where there's a law in place where if you come in and you're got a green card or whatever, you can actually bring in your family members. Well, then guess what? They can then bring in their family. No, that ends. Come on, that's just absurd. That's absurd. Okay? Your family members can go through the same list that everyone else had to. Okay? Let's just be realistic. Husband and wife, maybe. Kids, maybe. But that's only if you, your wife, whatever, meet that merit-based. Meaning, we need these workers right now because Trump is doing such a great job as president, and the jobs are so great. There are so many of them out there that, guess what? We need this amount of people in this area, whether it be doctors, lawyers, mechanics, workers in the field. I don't care. And one thing I don't think I mentioned last week is we start taking away business licenses. That would be the first thing you do. Because I've heard people, even like Bill O'Reilly, I remember he used to make this, just the silliest argument. Well, how do you expect to get 20 million people out of here? How could you possibly think, let's just give them amnesty and then we'll move on from there, build the wall, and it won't happen again? Yeah, well, they said that in the 80s, and guess what happens? Now we're doing it again. Yes, you can. It's real simple. If you threaten to take away business licenses, if they hire any illegal alien, you lose your license. Simple. End. Done. If you haven't taken every single step to make sure that person wasn't illegal, and they come in and you get caught, you lose your business license. Any illegal picked up, boom, they get taken away. No. There's no case. There's no judges. There's no nothing. You can't prove you're an American citizen. No way, no how. Bye. See ya. Where'd you come from? Okay. See ya. We'll give you the ticket. We'll pay for that. We'll pay for that. Never understood that argument. Just such silly arguments from people who they're just so intellectually dishonest. You know, they just because their narrative is here, facts are over here. They don't care. They don't care. They're just gonna still fit that into their narrative somehow. They don't care about the facts. I've never understood that. End, catch, and release, obviously. Amendment to the Constitution about the babies, of course. That we don't even need to pass an amendment. It's gone. Well, oh, wait a second. I misread his thing. Pass an amendment to the Constitution that no longer allows for granting the. It's already in there, Uncle Dave. It's not here. Okay, there is no amendment. There's nothing in the Constitution that gives them the right, legal, to be a legal citizen just because they were born here. Mm-mm. In order to be a legal resident, you have to have been born to a legal resident. It's pretty obvious. All right, I'm not even a legal scholar, constitutional scholar. I've read it a couple times and I don't remember every word in there, but that's pretty obvious. Okay, so you don't need an amendment unless you want to make an amendment saying that people who think that this amendment says this, it doesn't. Okay, fine. Funding is needed for ICE. Of course, we amp that up once the wall is built and everybody's out of here that's not supposed to be out of here or granted whatever rights that we decided on. Okay. There you go. That was really the only comments that I had throughout the week. So now remember, if you want to make a comment on here, I'll try to go ahead and answer it right here and there. I'll try. If you happen to listen to this not live and you happen to come across this and you want to make a comment, I might respond, but probably not. I'll probably wait until I have the next podcast so that I can do it like this. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't like going back and forth on Facebook, even though I do on that other. I don't want to say his name because it's probably not right. Anyways, now on to the topic of the day. First diversity, then multiculturalism. And please remember, it's hard truth here, people. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to say it the way it is. If someone, I think Ben Shapiro says something about my facts don't care about your feelings or something like that. I don't know. I don't like to say I'm necessarily heartless or I don't really worry about other people's feelings, but when it comes to politics, I kind of don't. Okay? These are the facts. This is the truth. Either prove my point wrong or deal with it. Okay? Deal with it. I digress again. 810-348-5807. I sure hope the phone works because it doesn't seem to be ringing. All right. I know it might take months. Oh, wait a second. Let's see. Am I going to be... If you lived in a dangerous country, on YouTube, a Michael B. commented. Thank you for the comment, by the way. I haven't read it yet, but let's see what it says. If you lived in a dangerous country where you know your child won't be safe, wouldn't you want to come into the country as fast as possible to ensure the protection of your family, even if it's legal? Okay. First, that is the heart, the tug at the heartstrings. That's what I was talking about. That's what they like to do. Tug at the heartstrings. Whatever. It doesn't matter whether he's not gonna. I mean, if I talked to him, if he called and talked, I would. The first thing I would ask him would be like, okay, fine, but do we just let everybody in? Do you want open borders? And if they say, yeah, we want open borders, then I know we're not going to meet anywhere. Second, and I'm glad thank you for your comment. I love it. This is great. And I don't know if I've said this before. I don't think I said it last week. I, in no way, am against the illegal alien. Let me say that again. I am not against the illegal alien. I am against the laws that allow them to come here. Just like I really am not against the person who goes on welfare. I don't think it's good for you. I don't think you should. I think it's better for your morale and your just feeling good about yourself if you're not on welfare. I don't like the women who stay on it and keep having 10 babies. I'm exaggerating, I know. Okay, but anyways, my point is it's the laws that are wrong that allow it. Just like if we had that wall and we had the drones and the people and nobody could get through the border illegally, if nobody could do that, then all these children that are in these camps that all these people are crying about on Facebook that I'm now back involved in, driving me nuts. And that's all they do. Well, what about the children in these cages and it's cold and they have cold food and they don't have toothpaste? I'm like, come on, people. Based on where they were living, they're probably still better off, but that's another. I'm going off. Answering your question, Michael B. If I were living in a country as bad as it seems to be in these countries, I would do everything in my power to come to America legally. If I did not have the means to get here legally, I would do everything in my power to do it illegally. 100%. I would do it. And once I got here, man, I would live under a rock to stay here and hide as much as I possibly could. I would do as little as I'd do as much as I could without getting caught, and I would stay here the rest of my life. And if someone came along, some crying lefty saying, "Oh, boo-hoo, what about the children?" and offered amnesty, I'd be in the front line. So yes, you are right. And they should try to come here. Because by far we are the best country in the world. But the laws is what I'm talking about. I'm dealing with the laws that we need to stop them from coming here. Okay? I hope I answered it. So, yep, I agree with you. If I lived in a country like that, I would come here. Everyone should try to come here. That's why most people try to come here, and very few try to break out. But it's still the laws. So now I don't know if you want to make another comment or call in or whatever and reply back to that and tell me, well, okay, now what? Because I think I answered it. Good. I'm glad I went back to YouTube. Boy, it's not easy to remember to go back and forth. But thank you, Michael B. All right. Good old Ralph. Hey, buddy, what's up? What about a bounty of... Without my glasses, I think that says $10,000. Whoops. Boy, I tell you, this is going to be fun. $10,000 or reward to cities that turn over or help. What about a bounty of $10,000 or reward to cities that turn over or help? I like where your mind is going, Ralph, but I'll be honest with you. I don't like rewarding people that should be doing things anyways. I would be on the other side of that and stop giving money to sanctuary cities. So I see what you're saying, and hey, if it helped, if it got these, I know you count cities that turn. Yeah, you're talking about cities, not actual people. Now, if that would have said a reward to people that turn in illegal aliens, now that I like, Ralph, and I think I would have a new job. $1,000 reward if you turn in an illegal alien. Oh, that is so bad. I can't believe I just said that. Okay, so okay, fine, but to be honest with you, I'd rather punish the ones who don't myself. Kathy, a thought. Maybe it's not that you don't care about the feelings of those who do not agree with you. Instead, it seems that you are being true to yourself rather than appeasing others. Well, see, Kathy, you are a nice person. And so, of course, that's the way you're going to think. That it seems that you're being true to yourself rather than appeasing others. I'll go with that. Kind of makes me sound good. I like that. I really don't know if true to yourself instead of appeasing others. Yeah, that's me. True to yourself. Yeah, I would say so. But I like the way you put it. But that shows the difference between an actual really nice person. Because Kathy, my sister, very nice person. I mean, she's just one of these people that are just very nice. And she doesn't like to get arguing, but she's a nice person. I like to debate. I don't say I like to argue. Yeah, I probably do. If someone can say the sky is blue, and if it's a little bit of a lesser blue, I'll probably correct them. So it's a little annoying. I'm sure. But yes, I'll go with that. Thank you, Kathy. I agree. I would go with that. All right, so let me see if I can jump to diversity. So far, I'm really liking this. Sorry, but you said you don't mind the aliens. Then why do you care about the laws? Michael B. back on YouTube said, "Sorry, but you said you don't mind the aliens. Then why do you care about the laws?" I'm trying to see if he didn't understand what I said, or maybe I didn't put it correctly. How about if I say, I don't blame people for wanting to come in this country, but I want laws to stop people from coming in here illegally. Okay? I don't blame them for wanting to be in here. That doesn't mean that I think it's right. So I'm not saying that they should. I'm not saying that they're right. I'm not saying that they can come in here. I'm saying, no, we're going to stop them. It's like a little game that we're playing here. Any other criminal. The criminal is going to try to break the law. It's going to happen. The police are trying to stop them. I don't know if I made that better, clearer, Mike B, or not. But so you don't mind about the aliens. I do mind. I think it's wrong. I don't want people in here that come in illegally, okay? Because of all the ramifications from that, okay? That's different than me saying I understand why they're doing it. So I'm not angry at the people trying to come in here. I'm not angry at them. I don't have any animosity towards them. I just don't think that we should allow just anybody in this country illegally. I think it should be that merit-based, and we know who you are, and we make sure that you have the Western values to fit into our culture and believe in our laws, and you want to abide by those laws, and you want to. And in order to do that, we have to know who you are. We have to make sure you're that type of person that we want in here. I think I answered it again. Again, that was back on YouTube. Thanks again, Michael B. I appreciate it. Really do. All right, so now let's go into the diversity and multiculturalism. Now, I told you, if you've listened before, I've mentioned that I'm not one of these people that will ever get to the point where I write down a nice show program. All right, I'll put down little. I'm not coming up with the word right now, but points to try to keep me kind of in order. But it's hard for me to come up with the ideas in my head while I'm just sitting down trying to write it on paper. That's why I do most of my thinking when I'm in the truck driving. If I could figure out a way to get that done, and I'm trying, to where I can actually do it while I'm driving, and because that's when I'm talking. I can just talk away and rattle away, and I don't forget anything. It's pretty good, and it's solid. But I haven't quite figured that out yet. So, but if I try to sit down and write it on paper, it doesn't work out. Okay, I mentioned that every other Sunday now. Start reading the comments, the echo chamber. All right, so the first one is diversity. Now, the problem with when you first start discussing a topic is you have to make sure that you're talking about the same things. So, and again, remember, everything, all these topics, I truly believe, and it is my, what I putting out there is that the Democrat politicians these are all pretty much just fake arguments. They're all straw arguments. They get their leaders of their groups out there and they say, just push the most radical things you can to get the people that you're over to hate the Republicans. That is the political machine that Van Buren made. I can't remember the year off the top of my head. Okay? That it's always been. It has not changed. Their tactics have been the same since FDR took over the local political machine of Van Buren and made it a national Democrat Party machine. Okay? That's what they do. They get their leaders and they just, all these little straw, silly arguments. Saul Alinsky, his book, Rules for Radicals, man, they must have read that, and that book must just be tattered because they have to read that so much. because they go right directly from that book. They really do. And diversity was one of those topics. I'm more of multiculturalism is where I'm more worried about. That I think is just a total farce. It's just another one of those neat sayings that the left uses to tug at those heartstrings. That's what they do. So I would go back and forth. I kind of, through my critical thinking in college, listening to professors or people debating it, when the topic of diversity would come up, the first thing that kind of always hit my mind was, first of all, they don't want diversity of thought. We all know that. Okay, the whole freedom of speech thing, not really strong on the left. They don't like that. Democrat politicians, they don't like that. But diversity as far as people and having them come together, and that's supposed to be a way to have a country or an area flourish because of the diversity of ideas. Yes, diversity of ideas is big. That's why you have different countries, or back in the day, different states, different areas. When they started to connect with each other, and one had a way to do this, whatever it might be. I'm just silly. One has stones and the other has a metal. Then the people that were using stones now got the idea of how to make metal, and boom, now they make metal. And then they found someone who made a stronger metal, and that's diversity of ideas. A country, a region, an area, they get better, they get smarter when you have diversity of ideas. I'm not quite sure that this whole idea of diversity of something else. The best way I can explain it is this. If person A believed in eating people, that's what they like to do. They want to eat people. A tribe, they want to eat people. Okay, and group B, they like eating chicken and cows and pigs. You would say that's a diversity group. That's a very diverse group. Okay, how well do you think they would do together if that diversity was forced together? Okay, how would that work? Well, and I know that's a very kind of broad way of putting it, but that's how I'm trying to explain how this concept of diversity is just kind of silly. Okay, people, normal, and it's normal, people kind of tend to hang around with people that think kind of like them. And I'm not talking necessarily, but well, like political ideas, but even that happens. Look at Facebook. Remember, I was mentioning it. Okay, I found myself too much of an echo chamber because naturally you go to people who kind of think and feel the same way you do, right? That's just normal. Nothing wrong with it. That doesn't mean I think that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean I think you're an evil person. It's just you like to listen to, I don't know, super headbanging, loud music every night before you go to bed. You know, you're out on the porch, just loud headbanging music. I'm not talking rock and roll. I like rock and roll, but headbanging, just and slamming down drinks and just partying all night. And you don't work in the morning, and I do. Well, guess what? It's not going to work. So I'm going to kind of move to an area where I can. Or if I get laws passed that says that this person can't stay out late and party on their front porch because people want to sleep, that person's going to say, I don't want to be in this area. I want to move out to the country where I can play my music loud and drink and have fun before I go to bed. Is that evil? Is that bad? Is that mean in any way? No. But now if you try to force them to stay together, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're causing something bad to happen that wouldn't have naturally happened. And what I learned, and it was Thomas Sowell. It was a book that I read, and I don't read books because I get too bored just sitting. Blah, 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 blah. I listen to books on tape. So I feel silly saying when I listen to this book, when I say I read books, because I've read hundreds of books, I have, but I've listened to them. So I'm going to say read. You get the point. Thomas Sowell, Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Thomas Sowell is, talk about an intellectual. And in his book, and I've read many books on this subject, and I've been to, I think you might call them symposiums and different kind of speeches on diversity, listened to tons of debates. And it always boils down to that simple point that I made, that this whole idea that they use, diversity. Now they're trying to get diversity into colleges and diversity everywhere. Well, when you force it, bad things happen. And what he describes is back in the later times, like I can't remember. I'm not sure exactly my years would be perfect. Early 1900s, maybe, or whatever. As the black community started coming out of the slavery times and Reconstruction, and they were doing so well that they naturally every group in the country naturally kind of moved to people that kind of want to live the way they want to live. It in some areas, obviously, you would have the racial aspect of it, but as the centuries went by, as the years went by, and the whole idea and the concept of color being an issue kind of started being a bad thing, and that's kind of a stupid thing. Remember, that's when the Democrats lost all their votes in the South. Is the Southern white people finally started realizing, this whole thing about Jim Crow laws and the Democrat Party, we're kind of sick of you. Yeah, we're kind of sick of you. That's why they stopped voting Democrat. And that's when the Democrats really had to put that machine in, remember? Where they had to find other voters. And that's when they started the whole welfare program and started beating down the immigrant and the migration families to keep them down, keep them in their projects, keep them on welfare, break up their religion, break up their family, put the leaders in place like the Jacksons and the Sharptons, and keep telling them, oh, that evil Republican Party hates you. Stay where you're at. Before that really started coming around, it was moving around. Okay? The black community started moving up north into some of the white suburb areas. And it was fine. It was working out great because they both believed in the same idea generally. Okay? Work hard, take care of your family, be nice to your neighbors. Okay? So if you want just some serious numbers, and this guy Thomas Sowell, when he in this book, he puts out some serious numbers on facts about this whole concept of diversity and how right now it's just nothing but a straw argument from the Democrat Party to get minorities and immigrants to hate the Republicans. That's all it is. Again, Thomas Sowell, Black Rednecks, White Liberals. Again, I have to have a topic, or else the show, I'm just going to sit here and waiting for comments on other things. So these are my topics. Remember, if you want to call, again, the phone number is in there. Let me get back, see if anyone else has put anything in there. Nope. Okay. Phone number, 810-348-5807. I really hope the phone works. All right, nothing on Facebook. Before I start talking about multiculturalism, let me go back to YouTube, see if Michael B's still there. Okay, looks like he was satisfied with that answer. We're ready to go. Take one more drink, and then we'll get on multiculturalism. And if no phone calls, then I'll be all set. Hopefully everything's still working. Everyone can still hear me. Okay, again, and anybody who came in here and listened a little bit, thank you. Hopefully, bit by bit, I can have content and the conversation is okay and it's good. Again, if you want to call in, it doesn't have to be on the topic that I'm talking about. It can be on daily stuff if you want, or any other topic. I don't discuss the daily issues here. I'm trying to kind of come up with short clips while I'm truck driving on the daily issues. Just kind of put it on here for the YouTube channel. Excuse me. But please feel free to call in. And if you're listening to this and it's pre-recorded, you just happen to come across it, remember, Sundays, 6 p.m., live call-in podcast. I really don't want to have to just sit here and talk. I really don't. But, okay, well, maybe a little bit of a lie. I do enjoy talking about the topics, getting stuff off my chest. This is what I feel. But I'd much rather have people call in. All right, now let's going to go right to multiculturalism. This is where it goes right straight to the heart of illegal immigration. And again, the facts are just so obvious. And it's so obvious that they use this word as a nice, it's so friendly, nice multiculturalism. It's so nice. You've got different areas of town with different types of food. You got your Mexican food, your Chinese food, your Middle Eastern food, your good old American food. Oh, multiculturalism is great. That's not multiculturalism. All right, that's actually just a diversity of ideas. Yeah, right? Chinese food, Mexican food, American food, Middle Eastern food. That's ideas. That's the way they make their food, and other people can taste that kind of food. That's a diversity of ideas. That is not multiculturalism. Okay? And I believe, and this is the top. I use this example when I talk about, and I'm sure one of my podcasts will be all about the Iraq War after 9/11, and what I think they should have done at that time. And I believe it was Yugoslavia. I believe it was after World War II, when you had all these different, and I could be wrong. I mean, I kind of remembered things in history, dates, names, not so much perfect, but the idea and the concept. But they had a multicultural area. And these were people that their cultures were like so different, they hated each other. And I believe the term balkanization kind of came in. They were kind of forced together, and I think that was Yugoslavia. Russia, I believe that's when the Soviet Union crashed, and now you had a split. And they came up with all these different areas. I think I wrote those down. Serbia. I tried to. Again, I'm trying to be a little more. Serbia, Kosovo, Slovakia. They kind of separated those in. If I remember correctly, Dayton Accords. I believe that's what it was, and in the 90s. I believe we actually had tanks in the streets. I believe we actually divided these areas up, gave them all their own areas, and it was forced. It was a multi-nation attempt to stop the mass killing from this great concept called multiculturalism that the left is straw argument pushing on us. Okay? Again, we have to make sure we understand each other's topics here. Multiculturalism, diversity. We're good with diversity of thought. That helps a nation grow and get stronger. Other nations, other ideas. But diversity of the way people like to live, not so good if they end up hating each other, and it just more angst, more animosity than it is bringing people together and having a kumbaya moment. And look at this. I know I hate the way you live. You hate the way I live. But let's all get together and hug it out. No, it doesn't happen. Okay, and the whole trying to put people together. And I understand the purpose of it. Okay, we were still struggling out of Reconstruction. We were still trying to get the people of America that helped build this country and out of the war, and we were trying to kind of get people to let's stop separating here. Let's get people together. But I think something like that happens naturally. Okay, it does. I don't care color of someone's skin. All right, if they don't agree with each other, if one wants to go rob things, steal things, and the other person wants to get a job and live a nice, comfortable life and don't want their things stolen, these two people aren't going to get along. I don't care if they're the same color. I don't care if they're the same DNA. Well, not completely the same DNA. That would be kind of weird. But they can be brothers and sisters, father and son. I mean, if they just disagree to a certain point, eventually it. All right? So it's not a skin thing. Back then, we were coming out of that. Obviously, it'd be stupid to think it wasn't a racial thing. But guess who was doing that? It wasn't America. Remember, in my first podcast, it's not America that does that. That was the whole Democrat Party did all of that. It wasn't the North and even the South, really. It was the Democrat Party pushing that. Okay, but anyways, I digress. So this idea of multiculturalism, if you think it's a really great thing and it's a wonderful thing, let's look at Yugoslavia in 1990. They broke that up. Nations went in there with tanks to stop the murdering, the killing, and I think it worked for a while. Probably not perfect because they were still right there, but it worked. And I'm sure they intermingled. The ones who didn't hate each other, I'm sure they intermingled. Okay? But because they separated them, it then started naturally. I think it ended up kind of going bad again later because, again, they were close. But I only bring up the Balkanization, Yugoslavia, and all that as an example of why multiculturalism is bad. That word that they try to that tug at the heartstrings, it's a bad thing. Because, again, and let's bring it to the illegal immigration concept, or even immigration, to be honest with you. Let's look at Europe. Perfect example. London. I mean, London isn't London of the many years ago, probably not too long ago, 10, 15 years ago. You had an influx of a totally different culture of people. But because Britain and this whole idea of multiculturalism, all that was a group of people, probably leftists, socialists, Marxists. All of this is kind of under that umbrella of trying the people who want to pull the puppet strings up there. And yeah, I'm going to say the evil word, George Soros, he's one of those. They want to get rid of as much of the Western style liberal democracy as they can. And so they come up with these ideas, these multiculturalism. If you don't like that, if you don't want these people coming in here, it's because you're racist, you're set, whatever the problem, they just call you names. When all you're doing is using logic and saying, wait a second. You bring this just large group of people in, and they are a completely different culture than we are. Completely different. They think about women differently than we do. Their religion is a kind of a harder religion than they are. They're more, it's our religion or none. It's you bring a completely different culture of people into an area, and they refuse to assimilate. Why? Who knows? If I moved to anywhere else in the world, I would not force my culture onto anybody. I wouldn't force my language onto anybody. Just that concept is so absurd. It's even hard to even think of someone debating that. It's just absurd that people think they can just come here or to another country, I don't care where it is, and force their culture on you. And yeah, I'm going to say it, stuff like Sharia law. So if you have a culture that actually wants to bring in your own laws to your nation, and they have the nerve to tell you, we're going to do our things our way in your nation, and that's what's going on in Britain. I believe there are quite a few Sharia courts now. And again, I really don't want to necessarily get into that right now about the whole idea of Islam and Muslim. That's for a whole nother topic, whole nother day. I'm dealing more in the cultural differences. I could care less about the belief in religion. The cultural ideas, the ideas of forced mutilation, right? The ideas of stoning, the ideas of the way they treat their women, the hardcore cultural differences. Like I made that example. People in some areas, there are, I think they're still out there, cannibals and people who like to eat cows and chickens. You try to force them together, and all of a sudden, them man eating people come here and say, we want to be able to eat people. What do you think, people? What do you think? I know it's a big example. That's a huge, but just put that into context for any other topic, whether the way you treat your women, the way you treat your children, the way you treat anything, the way you treat other religions, whatever it might be. Throw this concept, this idea that I'm saying, where you have people eaters coming in, or cannibals coming to your country saying, we're going to come here, thank you for letting us in, we're going to come here, oh, by the way, we want to be able to continue eating people. What do you think? Well, the leftists, they're going to yell at you and say, hey, if you don't let them do that, that's not multiculturalism, and you're a bigot. Yes. Try to deny the similarities. Try to deny that that's not exactly what's going on. Because a different culture trying to force their way into another culture, you're going to have problems. You're going to have fighting. And it's not going to be this kumbaya moment. And guess what's happening right now in Europe? Yeah, you've got really bad problems going on there because of the difference in beliefs. And that's why I am so much, and I want the laws to stop people from coming in here until we know for a fact that they are either already believing in the Western values, the ideas of the laws, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the belief that everyone is free in this country, that we have equal opportunity for everybody. And that's what we believe. And if you don't believe that way, if you don't believe in the right for people to have property, if you don't believe in the right for some Democrat KKK member to spout their ignorance, if you don't believe that person still has the right to say what he wants to say, as ignorant and stupid as it might be, leave. We don't want you here because our culture is this. This is what we believe. And that's why you want that merit-based system, okay? So multiculturalism is the entire situation, the entire problem with illegal immigration, and why people like myself want to stop that. And we're not going to stop it without the wall, I believe. You still have people making fun of the idea of a wall. The stupid saying about 30-foot wall, they'll sell 31-foot ladders. That's the kind of argument these people come up with because they just don't have an argument. They just don't have an argument about it. The fact is, yes, the wall will work. Drones will work. More people on the border will work. More judges to enforce this multinational, international laws about asylum, which I believe the actual law is you have to go to the immediate nation, and then that nation has to at least hear what you have to say. Okay? I guess I can be good with that. So that means we have Canada or Mexico, and as long as they live in those two nations, we need to listen to them. That's the international law that we agreed to, I guess. But guess what? Yeah, we're going to hold you. We are not going to release you. And as soon as your court case comes up, as soon as possible, you're gone. And no, due process for you means until your court is heard, you're not going anywhere, and your children are not either. Now, I think I could agree with you being able to live together once we prove that, yeah, this is your child. Because remember, that was a problem. That was a problem. A lot of people were coming up there with these children. They weren't their children. And that's why I think they first started separating them at first to make sure, prove that they're their parent there. And once they are, fine. Put them together. Keep them together. Yeah, if it's a hard floor, of course there's going to be fences. They're going to keep you in. They're going to call it a cage. We'll give you as much food and stuff, be as nice to you as possible, but that's the best you get. So that's how multiculturalism connects to. I think I just started rambling. Sorry. That's multiculturalism. Again, just sitting here telling you how I think, what makes sense through logic and reason. It's not the easiest thing. Can only come up with so much. That's why dialogue and the conversation, and I really enjoyed the idea of people posting comments. If you post comments, that's fantastic. What about you jerk? Oh, yes, Ralph, I did say that whatever topic you want. Now, I could have sworn, now maybe I should limit that only to people who call, because that would force them to call and not just make a comment. On Facebook, Ralph, what about transgender in school sports? In girl sports, transgender in girl sports. Well, it doesn't have to be girl sports, just transgender in sports. Ralph, it's not even an argument. Obviously, you know how I think about that. There's no way. It's so silly to think that a boy, should be able to run in a girls' track meet or play girls' soccer or girls' basketball. You have all these guys. Yes, it's a big problem. Ralph, you're right. It's a huge problem. And I think I might have discussed it in my transgender conversation that I had, podcast that I had earlier. Um, so, to answer your question, what about transgender in girl sports? Well, if you've ever watched an MMA fight, and I don't know if I doubt UFC is allowing it, so it's one of these smaller ones. There is a guy out there now that is saying he's transgender, and he actually fights. They allow him to fight women instead of men, and he just destroys every single. I mean, he hurts these women, and they just let him do it. It's horrible to watch. It's disgusting. And so now you've got these high school boys, and I don't know if it's real. You just don't know. I'm sorry. You don't know if these boys honestly think of themselves as women. That whole topic, it's so silly. There are professional, what they call themselves, feminists. Okay, they speak around the country, and there are quite a few of them that are very upset right now about this concept of men taking over women's sports. They hate it. They get taken off Twitter and Facebook, YouTube instantly because they just hate the idea that men are now going to just take over women's sports. And no one in their right mind thinks that a top woman athlete is going to compete with the top men athlete. It's not going to happen in high school. Now, Ralph, I will disagree with you on this part maybe because, like when they're like at the 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, girls tend to be a little better at sports than boys at that point because boys are still picking, like they're just looking at the stars in the sky and the grass, and so girls, I think they're faster up to a point. So then at that age, obviously we're going to stop that. And yes, they are starting to put transgender stuff in 4th and 5th grade where they're actually having transgenders come and read books to children in school. So Ralph, I know you got kids. Please make sure your school are not showing videos with transgenders reading books to your children, touting transgenderism and explaining to them that you're not a boy, you're not a girl. You are what you think you are someday. Thanks a lot for making me talk about that subject. Kathy, I saw an interview with a woman who fought the transgender person. She said she had never been hit so hard in her life. Absolutely. Completely stunned and did not expect to be thrown around and beat so badly. She has an entirely new perspective on the physical differences between men and women. 100% right, Kathy. Thanks a lot, Ralph, for getting this started on a topic about diversity and multiculturalism. But I agree 100%, Kathy. I actually saw that fight, and I saw him fight a couple. Now, I don't think he's anywhere near an elite male fighter, but as a woman fighter, he's badass. And I believe there's now it's gotten into powerlifting at the national and world level, uh, where powerlifters, guys who obviously can't win in their division, now they're women, and now it might be true. They might actually have that body dysphoria where they truly believe that they should have been a woman's body, so therefore they're taking whatever hormone, whatever. Obviously, no, I think about that. But, and they're just destroying every single woman's record there is out there. If you vote for a Democrat, if you vote for the Democrat Party, you are voting for people who are pushing this kind of crap. So remember, if you're one of us normal people out there, go to work every day, work hard, just try to take care of our families, whatever. We like going to the bar and having some drinks with our friends, maybe playing some softball, some golf. We just like to do it, and you're not really into politics. Please, please start caring just a little bit. Fine. You just can't vote for Trump because of you believe all the crap that you hear on TV. Fine, 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 fine. But don't vote for the Democrats. How about that? Or maybe start paying attention to the topics. Because that's all I care about. Each individual topic. I hate calling myself a conservative. I definitely don't call myself a Republican. Topics. Each individual topic. And then add up your topics. And whichever topic goes to the Republican, vote for them. Democrat, vote for them. If you're willing to do that, then I think you deserve to vote. Yeah, I said deserve to vote. Okay, yes, as a citizen, you have the right to vote. But if you don't even care to look into the topics, because this is my contention, and I've said this before, and I'll probably kind of end it on this unless we get some more stuff on comments, or God forbid a phone call. I really don't understand how just your average, ordinary person, and I believe I'm putting it at 70% now. I think I started with 80, but it's kind of 70% now maybe. But I truly believe that 70% of people who vote Democrat, I truly believe they believe in like 80% of what I believe. Why? Because they're Americans. I'm just a regular, typical American. That's all. I'm not. I'm just a regular American who believes America is the best, and I have some critical thinking skills and some logic. I am definitely not an intellectual, and I know all these individual topics. If you just think about it for just a little bit, you'll know that it's just truly common sense. And I think that, like I said, 70% of people who vote Democrat probably believe about 80% of what I think. That other 30% or 20% are kind of hard leftists or just really hard liberals, and they're just going to refuse. That's fine. Let them go off. But stop voting Democrat, because if you keep voting Democrat, pretty soon, like this topic right here about the men playing in women's sports, guess what, women? You ain't going to have anything. You will have no sports. All the men who can't make the men's team will then put on a dress and become women, and then they'll take over your sports. And guess who's not gonna stop it? The Democrats you vote for. Our high school has a girl wrestler, not a transgender girl, just a girl. The boys hate it because they have to put their hands on a girl. Kathy, that's a totally different topic. That's a good topic, really. There is not a girls wrestling team. There might be in some of the bigger schools, I don't know. But a girl wrestling boys, that's tough. That's tough. That really is tough. That's a tough one. There's a saying that you don't punch down, you punch up. And I think that's in the comedy realm, where you don't make fun of lower, but you make fun of upper. Punch up, don't punch down. And I think this is kind of the same case. If a girl is good enough to compete in the boys' sports, but wrestling, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't know. I can't imagine having a daughter and having her wrestling. That'd be tough. And I can't imagine if I was wrestling in school, in high school, and had to wrestle the girl. That'd be tough. It'd be tough. But I really wouldn't have an answer to that. And yeah, if she is good though, I guarantee you, if she's wrestling in the boys, I guarantee you she's badass. There's no doubt about it. I don't doubt that at all. And I would probably root for her every time. Just like I said, punch up, don't punch down. But the problem is now these boys, talk about destroying a man's masculinity. Anyways, I'm getting into a whole nother subject. Probably end up getting myself in trouble. All right. For everybody who's listened, who came on, especially those who put comments out there, thanks again for bringing up the transgender issue, Ralph. Appreciate that one. Let's see if there's anybody in Facebook or YouTube. Nope. Michael B. must have been good with my answers. We're good. Thank you, Michael B. I really appreciate you commenting. That's awesome. Remember, if you're on Facebook, please like. You can make comments afterwards, and I'll bring it up next week. Share. Please share. This is awesome. I'm enjoying this. If you're on YouTube, I believe it is subscribing. That would be awesome. And then you have to hit that notification bell. And that way, if I'm not in on Sunday, and I might do it on Monday, I might go ahead and broadcast or do the podcast Monday night at 6 instead. I hate doing that to everybody. I'd rather just keep it Sundays at 6, whether it's every week or every other week. If I can figure out a way to do it on my phone and the truck, I think a nephew of mine, Alex, he mentioned Twitch. And I might actually be able to do a full podcast on my phone while I'm driving on Twitch, because I can do it on my phone. If that's the case, then I might even start doing that and just do short little, daily stuff on Twitch, and then just copying it to Facebook and YouTube. But thanks again for listening. And I'll probably put up Monday or Tuesday the topic for next week. I'll try to make it as hard hitting and as embarrassing to me as I can. And hopefully we might start getting some phone calls eventually, so it's not just me up here talking. I appreciate if you made comments, and I will see you probably next week. Thanks again.